Okay, thank you. Thanks for all being here today. The incident is not over. As I told you this morning, the City and County of San Francisco and our OES office is monitoring the situation closely, and we're keeping tabs on all of the aftershocks, and there are numerous ones of them that we're aware of, and all of the repercussions that they may have on our coastline. Having said that, I want to let you know today that the people behind me are part of the city's official family, but part of the city's family in general. And today, in addition to our Director of OES and Public Works and our Police Chief and our Fire Chief and a number of other agencies, our public safety advisors and officers and my staff have joined with us. Leader Pelosi's office, Senator Boxer's office, State Senator Leno and State Senator Yee's offices, as well as our Japanese American community, whom I've had a chance of talking very closely in the last few moments. And they include Paul Osaki, Alan Okamoto, Richard Hashimoto, Emily Murase, Dana Kotaki, Ted Yamasaki, John Noguchi, and others that are here today. I want to do two things. This morning, I want to assure you that San Francisco is safe. We have been monitoring this situation since this morning. I personally have been on this thing since 11 o'clock last night, and while a little jury, still very open-eyed about everything that has occurred. And as it should be, all of our staff at OES, at 911, at 311, all of the agencies that we expect to be responding to this, they have been ready since last night and been working all through this morning to make sure that our city is safe. We still have the Great Highway closed, the above part. The lower part, called the Lower Highway, has been opened as of this time to allow our residents and our businesses to have a thoroughfare. In addition, though, we still have a couple of lines of Muni that are going around the Great Highway and have additional transportation for the residents to use. The reason why we are keeping vigilance on this is because these types of earthquakes and tsunamis don't go away with the first wave. In fact, they have the propensity to increase given the aftershocks. And so with our vigilance and with constant information coming from the state OES, the tsunami warning centers, we are given up-to-date information every hour on the hour as to how these waves are still coming to the western coastline. And with that information, we feel that we have to keep vigilant because we have a time of the evening, about 5:21 this evening, which we will experience a high tide along our west coast. A high tide combined with any other additional activities coming this way from Japan or from the east could still have repercussions that we need to be prepared for, including where high tides occur on the Embarcadero and along all other parts of our coastline. But we believe that we have everybody in place to monitor this, and we will continue monitoring it to make sure that our city is safe. Having said that, I want to remind the public, this is why we have 72hour.org. This is what we've been training to do for the last few years and giving much more public attention. People have to be ready, and they have to be ready because they are part of a city that shares, in many parts, the cities in Japan. That we are an earthquake country, and we have to be prepared. So I want to say that this is another example of why we have to be prepared of more than just earthquakes, of the after effects of earthquakes. Today and last night, what maybe a lot of people thought were movie-like type of scenes are real. Thousands, hundreds of people for sure have lost their lives. Hundreds of billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, up to 100 billion may be lost in Japan. And our hearts pour out to them. I have made the call to our Consul General of Japan here this morning. I've talked with him. He is, of course, in tremendous pressure to make sure communications between families here and the consuls in Japan are open communications. There are a lot of communication lines that are blocked right now. So he is extremely busy, but he welcomed the call from the City, County of San Francisco and all of our official family to note that we shared condolences briefly and that we are attempting to build a effort to involve our local Japanese American community, all of San Francisco community, and all of our congressional delegates to help every way we can. You've also heard already that President Obama announced the national effort to open our ability to help on a national level. That is what we do. That is what we do as Americans. That's what we do as San Franciscans. On the local level, I've opened up a website that is an official San Francisco website, one that I opened with Mayor Gavin Newsom back a few years ago, called sfgivesback.org. And that's our way, because we had so much help back in Loma Prieta earthquake from Japan, from all other countries that helped San Francisco recover quickly. And we opened that website because it was our expression that anytime other countries will experience either similar kinds of disasters or different disasters, we have an ability to help them. So we titled that SF Gives Back. And I know from our friends here from Japantown and others, they helped us a lot back in the Loma Prieta earthquake, and they helped the city recover. It's our time and our opportunity to help them back, and they're going to need tremendous help. And so I ask the public to open up their hearts and minds at this point. While we are ready for our own safety, we will extend all of our hearts and all of our opportunities to help the people of Japan. They're going to go through days and weeks of crisis. They're not going to find members of their family. They're not going to find a lot of things that they need that reflect their normal lives. And I want to express that the City, County of San Francisco, with all of the help of our congressional delegates, our state delegates, we are joining our Japantown members as one whole family to offer our help. And I want to say today that the people behind me are the ones that I've met this morning. We've talked at length. We know what this kind of hurt is going to be. We understand what it is that Japan is going through, because we've gone through similar types, maybe not as the degree, because this is the largest earthquake that we know in the history of Japan ever experienced. What does that mean to us? It means everything that we've done is meaningful. It means that we don't take our situation for granted. And it means that we learn our lessons, and then we build and we improve, and we are more ready than ever. Having said that, I want to give an opportunity to the others to talk about what the needs might be, but also to express that this city, a family, and everybody that's included is part of a larger family of our international status. And San Francisco understands its international role. And that's why I want to say to you today, as early as possible, we will be there for the people of Japan as they have been for the people in San Francisco when we had our challenging times. So with that, I would like to welcome Paul Osaki, if you would like to speak.
Sure. Paul? Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all your support, and good afternoon. My name is Paul Osaki. I work as Executive Director of the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California, based here in San Francisco's Japantown. The community is devastated. It's in shock as the rest of the world is. We've already received hundreds of calls from ordinary citizens wondering what they can do and how they could get involved. So we've established the Northern Japan Earthquake Relief Fund at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center as a way for people to get involved and to feel that they can be of support to the people of Japan. During the great Hanshin or Kobe earthquake back in early 90s, we were also the organization that led the relief efforts. 100% of the money is going directly to citizen relief efforts and to help in the most devastated areas, the relief efforts of ordinary citizens, and what we can do to help support them immediately to get through this initial stage of what they're going to be undergoing, and later on to be able to help support their ongoing comfort and the needs that are going to take place for months to come. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We are blessed with so many great congressional delegates, and certainly Speaker Pelosi's office, Senator Boxer's office, Senator Leno and Senator Yee have registered immediately and sent their staffs here. So I would like to give an opportunity for Senator Pelosi's office to say a few words. I'm sorry, Congresswoman Leader Pelosi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Leader Pelosi is coming back right now from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, but she did ask me to come here to thank Mayor Lee for his leadership and his vigilance, along with our Fire Chief, Joanne Hayes-White, our Police Chief, Jeff Godown, and our Director of Emergency Management, Ann Cronenberg. San Franciscans and Americans who are abroad in the affected areas in Japan and the other affected areas can get information at www.state.gov. That's a State Department website, as well as travel.state.gov. And that's also a resource for people who are trying to locate loved ones and family members in the affected areas. While Leader Pelosi couldn't be here, she asked me to share her statement that she released this morning about the earthquake and the tsunami in the Pacific. Our thoughts, prayers, and condolences rest with the people of Japan today, those affected by the earthquake and tsunami, the loved ones of those lost in this natural disaster, the communities now confronting the aftermath of this tragedy. The images of destruction and devastation touch the hearts of families around the world, and members of Congress and all Americans stand ready to offer our aid and support to Japan in its hour of need. With tsunami warnings throughout the Pacific, I encourage my constituents in San Francisco and Americans throughout the West Coast, Hawaii, and others in its path to remain vigilant, to heed all warnings and instructions from emergency personnel, and to take every precaution to ensure their safety. Officials from federal, state, and local agencies are prepared to offer any assistance necessary, and we will work with all levels of government to respond effectively as the tsunami reaches our shores. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Lou.
Thank you. Please, Senator Barbara Boxer's office, if you'd like to say a few words here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Tom Bohiggy, and I'm Senator Boxer's State Director. The Senator has issued a statement which you can find on the website at www.boxer.senate.gov, expressing her sincerest condolences to Japanese people for this ongoing disaster and tragedy, and also the same feelings to the large Japanese American community, not only here in San Francisco and the Bay Area, but in California. Our office has been in touch with both the consulate in San Francisco and Los Angeles, as well as the embassy in Washington, D.C., to see how we can, what we can do to help to recover from this. As the mayor was saying, it is a pretty amazing thing what local elected officials are doing, elected officials and the staffs in this city and all over California to watch out for the well-being of our citizens. They're doing a remarkable job, and I just want to reinforce the message, like everyone else, that this is a terrible thing that has happened, and we're looking forward in the days ahead to recovery and trying to lift the burden. And thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. And I just wanted to recognize Senator Mark Leno and Senator Leland Yee's representatives are here today as well. But I also wanted to let you know that I'm working very closely with all the members of the Board of Supervisors, and certainly Board President David Chu is here to represent a part of the city family that will be working together with me. Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And on behalf of all of my colleagues, I want to express our deepest sympathies and condolences to all the victims, to the men, women, and children of Japan from our San Francisco community. This is particularly intense, I think, for many of us, in part because we have one of the most historic and important Japanese communities, Japanese American communities here in San Francisco, but also in part because we know that San Francisco shares with Japan the fact that we are some of the most vulnerable areas in the entire world to earthquakes. And I want to thank the city family that has been working over the past 12 hours to coordinate our city's response. I want to thank the members of the community from the political world, but particularly from the Japanese American community for coming together so quickly. I know that all of my colleagues at the board will be working with everyone here to ensure not just as much help as we can provide as a San Francisco community to our brothers and sisters in Japan, but to also ensure ever vigilant. We need to make sure that we are vigilant not just until high tide this afternoon, a little after 5 o'clock, not just over the next 72 hours, but we have to always, as a community, be prepared for disasters that could strike us at any time. So again, thank you all for being here, and we look forward to working with the mayor and with the community.
The next few days and weeks, we'll be announcing even more efforts as we work closely with our community partners in this very, very serious challenge. And while we will feel safer, I think as time goes on and we don't see any other incidences, we'll know that a lot of other people are suffering and we need to help them out. And one way that I like the public to make sure that they know is this is not the time to be sending clothing and food and those kinds of things. Get to our websites, get to the websites and the other organizations that have announced, and basically if you've got the wherewithal, send money. That's what's going to be helpful. They don't have the operation to be receiving donations of goods and other clothing and so forth at this time. These critical times are when we're going to build up an effort to provide monetary support for the efforts in Japan. With that, I think I will be open to questions at this time.
Yeah, the phone number is area. The phone number is area code 415-567-5505. The website is www.jccccnc.org. First name's Paul, P-A-U-L. Last name's O-S-A-K-I, Osaki.
Some staffing levels up in terms of police officers out at the Richmond and Terraville areas, making sure folks are safe and stay at the beaches. Any sense of how long will the staffing levels at the levels they are? Are we waiting until after high tide to see where we are?
Yes, we're going to stay out there as long as it takes. And what that generally means is we have to pay attention to the data that we're getting. And certainly the high tide is a milestone because we want to make sure that combinations of different facts and forces don't come together at the wrong time, that we don't have it. So we're going to stay out there until we're absolutely sure from all the data that's fed to us by the state OES, by the tsunami warning centers, that we don't have any other threat. But right now, as we speak, there still are aftershocks. There is another earthquake that I just heard in the city of Nagano that's over 6.2. And you don't know what's going to occur after those things, so we have to keep very vigilant. We will do that. We'll keep our police, we'll keep our fire alerted, we'll keep that roadway closed until we're absolutely sure that public safety is held. Yeah.
Are they doing anything other than basically putting up barricades or acting as barricades to keep people out of particular areas that might be infected?
I'm sorry, you're saying, what else are we doing?
Yeah, no, are the police and other emergency fire, whoever, are they doing anything other than basically acting as, traffic control officers?
Well, there are a lot of visitors who don't know what's going on, so they become, I think people on the streets are already answering a lot of questions and just familiarizing people with, some people don't even know what a tsunami is. I think our officers got really nervous when people started, there were some individuals that don't know what a tsunami is, so they decide, oh, maybe I'll just rush over to the ocean beach and see what this is all about. That's not the way to go. That's not the smart thing to do. I think we are now realizing we've got to educate the public even more about tsunamis. It isn't, that's why I said at the beginning, it's not something you watch in movies anymore. When you look at the tapes coming out of Japan, these are huge, serious devastations. They are taking lives away. And so people have to understand, you don't rush to the ocean to watch this stuff. You've got to pay respect to the natural forces that this can actually cause you your life.
We've seen earthquakes, it seems like, all around us. Is anybody saying that we could be next? Have we heard anything like that?
Well, clearly that's on the minds of all of us, and we can always be next. I mean, you don't know how the Earth moves in the crust levels and move. These are going to be seismologists that tell you a lot of this. But we are listening very closely to our USGS experts, and they will tell us when, in fact, those earthquakes might have anything to do with the plates that we are under. Clearly, all of the Western Hemisphere is looking at it, from here all the way down to Chile and some of the countries in South America. And we're very much aware that it was not too long ago you had a devastating earthquakes in Chile. So there's obviously a lot of movement beneath the earth, whether it's in the ocean or on land. And that's where I think living in earthquake country as we do in San Francisco, we have to have a much more intelligent resident force here who understands the circumstances and therefore is adequately prepared, just as we are working in the city.
Do you know anything about the airport? I guess a lot of the flights have been delayed. So what's the status of the impact out of SFO on international flights that might be going to Japan or connecting? Or
Right. We don't have specific updates yet. We are getting them from our airport director, John Martin. He and the airlines are obviously having to reroute. There are canceled flights, outbound and inbound to Japan. And because there are, we're not sure whether they're just having them take flights to different parts of Japan. There's probably a concern about that now that there's earthquakes in other parts of Japan, so they have to be very careful with this. So we'll get an update about the airlines probably this afternoon. Yes, yes.
You mentioned the need to educate people about tsunamis potentially. Japan's thought to be a lot better prepared in some ways in terms of building codes and doing a lot of drills throughout the country. What do you see there being a need to do here to raise the preparedness level?
Well, we've already identified a number of things that we wanted to do. Clearly, we still have soft story buildings in our city that can collapse and hurt a lot of people, and we have to get that in front of the voters in the next year or so to allow us to have the resources to rebuild those in the private sector as well as the public sector. That's one of our clear priorities is to identify, because it's been identified by our own building engineers in the city as being the next level of buildings that we have to protect. So that's one example of a number of things. I think we have to educate people more about the realities of tsunami. I think people don't believe, given the observations I've had in the last 12 hours, people don't think a tsunami would hurt us because we're so far away. But if the earthquake happened any closer or any more part of the ocean, this is for real. And we did, if you see the boats that were moved in Santa Cruz, you'll know that those waves did come in, and they came in directly from the earthquakes in Japan, even though they're 6,000 miles away. So I think we have to do a lot more education about tsunamis.
What have you observed so far? I mean, how far has the water come up, and has it affected the bay side?
Reports so far for our San Francisco West Coast has been no more than about 1.5 feet to less than 2 feet. Increase. Is that right, Chief? Yeah. But again, we're still observing. That was, I think, directly related to the fact that all morning we've enjoyed a low tide. So all of our agencies are still monitoring this because combinations of further shocks and waves coming with a high tide might be a different story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.